Hi, I'm Amy Romeo from Amy Romeo Crafts, and today in this video I'll be showing you how to make these really fun hot cocoa cup gift card holders. I'll be using faux leather, heat transfer vinyl, and a Cricut. I can't wait to show you how to make these. So if you're ready to learn how to make this project, let's go ahead and get started. The SVG file for this project is available in my shop. It's part of my holiday faux leather crafting event where I'm sharing a brand new holiday SVG and video tutorial every day for 20 days. I'll leave a link on the screen for you so you can get the SVG, or you can visit amyromeo.com/holiday to see all of the event's designs. Let's go over the tools and materials we'll be using to make these hot cocoa cup gift card holders. I'll be using the Cricut Maker today, but you could also use the Maker 3, the Explore Air 2, the Explore 3, or the Cricut Joy Extra, because all of those machines are large enough to cut these designs, and they have the standard fine point blade, which I use to cut faux leather. If you wanted to cut this design from the Cricut Joy, the original Joy, then you could make the design smaller and eliminate the little gift card slot and just make it an ornament. I'll show you how to do that when we're in Design Space. So this is the gift card holder element of this design. There's the little slot in the back and the card just slides right in. And these are made with faux leather on the back and on the front, and then we have heat transfer vinyl applied. This is the snowman design, and we'll also be making a different hot cocoa cup, one that's red on the bottom. So I'll be using red for that one, and then I have some different colors of heat transfer vinyl. You could also use permanent vinyl if that's what you wanted to do, or you could use cardstock instead of faux leather for the base of the holder. To apply the heat transfer vinyl onto the faux leather, I'll be using my Easy Press Mini set on the low setting, which is the bottom green line. You could also use a regular Easy Press. I'll be using a purple strong grip cutting mat to cut the faux leather and the green standard grip cutting mat to cut the heat transfer vinyl. And then there's some other tools I'll be using, like a heat pressing pad. This is a Teflon sheet that I've trimmed down to size. This is a good cover sheet for pressing. You could also use butcher paper or parchment paper, but not wax paper. Then I have some craft scissors. I like regular craft scissors and also some detail scissors, which are good for trimming up any little fuzzies on the edge of the faux leather. You'll need a weeding tool of some kind. You could use a hook or a pin pen style. You'll need some blue painter's tape. This is going to help us tape down the faux leather to get good cuts. Then to glue the ornament front to back, I'll be using some fabric glue. I like the Fabri-Tac. You could use any good fabric glue. You could also use a good craft glue like Bearly Art Glue. And then if you do want to make this into an ornament, you'll want to have some ribbon. This is just 3/8" ribbon from the craft store. So let's hop into Design Space and we'll talk about how to cut out our layers of faux leather and heat transfer vinyl and how to assemble our gift card holder. So starting with a blank canvas in Cricut Design Space, you'll click on Upload and then Upload Image, and you'll browse to where the unzipped SVG file is for this project. Click on it to select it, click Open, and then you'll see a preview of the two designs. Click Upload, click on it to select it from your recent uploads row, and then click Add to Canvas. And here we can see our two designs, and I'm only going to cut one of these today, but they're both here for you to choose from. So what I recommend is cutting them one at a time and deleting whichever one you are not going to cut off of your mat. But before we do that, I just wanted to ungroup these shapes so I can show you a couple things about the layers. So this off-white layer here in the back on the top one, this will cut from faux leather, both of these layers. And then here we have our little layers of heat transfer vinyl. So you've got a layer of black. All of these little shapes are connected, and when we cut this vinyl layer, we don't want to cut apart the shapes, just let them stay together, and that way it'll make it pressing and placing this layer very easy onto the white faux leather. There's an orange carrot nose, we've got a color for the scarf back here, and then a color for the stripes of the scarf. I'm going to delete this one since I'm not doing that one today, and we'll pull this one up top so we can see it a little better. So this one will be cutting from red faux leather on the bottom and also for the back. And here we can see that gift card slot and also the little hole if you wanted to make this an ornament. Over here, we have some red for this little candy cane and the little holly berries. There's some pink for the candy cane. You can change the colors of these if you wanted to. There's a green layer for the leaves. And then here's a big white layer that will be the text and all of the foam. So again, when this layer cuts, it will all cut together. I've grouped it for you to make it easy. Don't cut these shapes apart. Let them stay together to help you put this project together. So I did want to mention, if you wanted to cut this from the joy, you would need to resize this design, and then that would mean it would no longer be a gift card holder. So let me show you quickly how to eliminate this gift card holder if you needed to. I'm going to click on the shape and then click contour, and contour helps us hide cuts that we don't want the Cricut to make. So what we can do is click on a dark spot like that little gift card slot. See how now it's a light gray? That means the Cricut will no longer cut it. Let me exit out and show you. See how the little gift card slot is gone? So you can also do that with the ornament hole if you did not want to make this an ornament. Just click on that. Keep in mind, if you hide the ornament hole here, you'll need to also hide the ornament hole here on this white layer and here on this red layer. Okay, so let's go ahead and undo all of those changes because we will be cutting this as is. And here we can see our layers, our faux leather layers, our regular heat transfer vinyl layers are all here on our layers panel. We don't need to adjust the size on this unless you are cutting for the joy. So I'm going to click the Make It button. We're cutting our materials on a mat. And the first thing we want to do is mirror each of our mats because faux leather and heat transfer vinyl cut in reverse. If you are using permanent vinyl for this project instead of heat transfer vinyl, then you do not need to mirror those mats. So once we've mirrored each mat, I like to click on the faux leather mat first, and I like to drag my shapes apart from each other a little bit. Let's see, let me see if I can drag this one down. Okay, let me turn it a little. So if you're buying faux leather in sheets, like 8.5 by 11 sheets, then these two shapes will fit on one sheet. The same is true of the shapes for the snowman one, which are slightly larger shapes. So here, I'm just putting my shapes a little bit closer together, but pulled away from the edge. And then I'm going to click through each mat, and I like to pull my vinyl layers away from the edge just a little bit. There we go. I'll click back on the faux leather mat. Oops. And then click continue. So for the faux leather mat, I'll be cutting using the faux leather paper thin setting. If you don't have this setting bookmarked as a favorite like I do, you can click on Browse All Materials and search for it. If you are using the Explorer Air 2, you'll need to turn your dial to custom before you'll be able to see this setting. So faux leather paper thin, we always want to choose more pressure when cutting faux leather with a Cricut. And here you can see this setting uses just the regular fine point blade. Then all of these vinyl layers will cut according to the manufacturer's recommended cut settings for the material that you are using. So for the regular vinyl mats, I think these 3 are regular vinyl. I'll cut those using the vinyl setting. And then for this red mat, I'll be cutting from glitter heat transfer vinyl. I'm using Caesar brand, which is a little on the thick side. So I will use the glitter vinyl setting with default pressure, and I'll repeat the cut 2 times. Okay, so let's click back on our faux leather mat. Get back to our faux leather paper thin setting with more pressure. Now let's hop back over to my overhead camera and I'll show you how to cut out the mats, and then we'll assemble our gift card holder. So I'm using a roll of faux leather. This is from Amazon. It's just a solid red color. I'll leave a link to it for you, as well as some good suppliers for red faux leather in sheets. Whatever you're using, you want to trim that material down to a size that will cover both of the shapes that need to cut. Now I'm going to turn this pretty side down, and I'm going to put it on my purple strong grip cutting mat, right in the place that I saw on the mat preview screen. And you want to press this down really well. This is a large piece of faux leather and it needs to be stuck very well to your purple strong grip mat. Then we're going to use some blue painter's tape and just tape this down on all sides. This is going to help to keep the material from moving on the mat. After you make this cut, you can peel up these pieces of blue painter's tape and save them for future cuts. Okay, so we have our faux leather paper thin setting with more pressure all set to go. So we'll go ahead and load the mat into the machine and begin the cut. So after the cut is complete, we want to use a sharp weeding tool and make sure that the cut went all the way through before we unload the mat. And that's because we can repeat the cut if necessary, as long as the mat has not been unloaded. So this cut looks good. I was able to use my sharp weeding tool and just lift up the edge. But if you needed to rerun the cut, you can just press that cut button again on the larger machines. If you're using the original Cricut Joy, the option to rerun the cut is on the screen in Design Space. So we'll go ahead and unload our mat and remove the shapes. And this particular faux leather does seem to have some little fuzzies on the edge, so this will be a great time to use those little curved scissors and trim up the edges. Now I'm going to go ahead and start cutting out my vinyl mats while I trim the edges and get my faux leather all ready. So I've weeded out all of the vinyl shapes and I have them separated. Be sure to check in your download folder. I've included a layering guide for you, and it's just a graphic that shows you which order to press the layers in so the design comes out looking the way it should. So the first layer we're going to press is the white vinyl layer, and I have the Easy Press Mini set to that low setting. Again, you can use the larger Easy Press. I would set it to 265 degrees. And then we're just going to match up this layer, matching up that hole on the top, that cutout hole, and then also the edges here of the cocoa cup. Then we're going to use our little cover sheet. This is that Teflon sheet. I buy the large t-shirt size Teflon sheets and then I just trim them smaller because I make a lot of small designs. And now I'm just going to press all over. We want to get heat all over that vinyl layer for 10 seconds. So now that we've pressed all over, we'll just put our cover sheet to the side, and then we want to keep the faux leather flat, and then we want to very carefully and slowly peel back this clear carrier sheet. And the reason we do this slowly is if the vinyl lifts up, we can just put it right back down, cover and press some more. But this is looking pretty good, so we'll just keep going, keeping that faux leather flat. Be careful because this will be warm. That looks good. The next layer that we'll put on is our little pink peppermint candy cane. And here I'm going to line this up with the top loop here and also the bottom line of the foam. So lining up this part and this part. We'll just repeat, covering and pressing. And that looks good. So the next layer we want to put down is our holly leaves because the berries go on top. So we need to figure out first where to place these exactly, and we're going to do that by doing something I call dry fitting, which is where we're taking a layer that we're not pressing right now. We're just kind of lining it up and placing it into position so we know where it goes. So if all of these little candy cane stripes line up, then that's where the berries go, which means that underneath here is where the leaves go. And the leaves are supposed to sort of overlap the cup a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you wouldn't want to press your leaves first and then realize once you place the candy cane that your berries don't line up. So now I've got my leaves where I want them to go. I'm going to hold them in position, peel away this layer, and now we'll press the leaves. And now we'll replace that candy cane and berry layer. And there we go. Isn't that cute? Now this is warm and I do want it to dry flat, so I'm just going to place it underneath my heat pressing pad, and that way it will cool in a nice flat position. So while we're doing that, we'll prepare the back of our gift card holder. And I just wanted to show you again what that looks like. The little card just slides in the slot. And what we're going to do for that is place our card in. So that's how it will look on this side. So you want to get it put in position on this side and then flip it over. And then I'm going to use just a pen or a marker. And I want to draw an outline around the card so I know not to glue in that area. There we go. I'll move this out of the way. Now I'm just going to use that fabric glue, and I'm going to put glue all over the back of the back side, and I want to make sure I don't glue inside the line that I drew. So all around here, we want to get that handle, we want to get up around the cutout hole all over, but not here in this spot. So when you're applying the glue, you want to get the glue close to the edge, but not all the way to the edge. We're going to end up pressing this underneath a heavy book, and that's going to help that glue seep to the edge and create a really nice seal. But if some glue seeps out of the sides, it's no big deal. You'll just use a damp paper towel or your finger and wipe it up. There we go. So glue all over. Don't forget the handle. Don't forget that little space above the hole. And now we'll just take our little hot cocoa cup, place it on top, and you'll want to spend a little time lining this up so that the edges are neat and they go together. There we go, that looks pretty good. So now we'll get our heavy book and we'll just place this on top and we'll let this dry for at least an hour. Then we'll come back and I'll just show you how it looks finished with the gift card in the back and how to tie the little string at the top if you wanted to hang this on the tree as a gift ornament. So our gift card holder has been drying underneath our book. Let's just take a look. Oh, and that looks really cute. So there's our little slot for our gift card. We'll just slide that in there. I wanted to mention this one is white, obviously, front and back, but on these that are made with colored faux leather, you may want to take a color coordinated Sharpie. After this is dry and you have that seam, and you just kind of color the edges to color that white so it's not as noticeable. Now, I don't recommend doing it up in the air like I do. I recommend putting it down on your work surface with some scrap paper underneath and just kind of rubbing on the sides. You don't want the marker to slip and to mess up the edges. But you can see how nice and tight and firm that seal is now that we've pressed this underneath our heavy book. So I wanted to show you, if you wanted to make this an ornament to hang on the tree with the gift card on the back, you can just use some regular craft ribbon. This is 14 inches of just a 3/8 inch craft ribbon. And all I'm going to do is fold it in half and then put my two little tails from the back to the front, create a loop in the back, and then just thread those two strings from the front up into that loop, and that creates that little knot there. And then I'm just going to knot this at the top. You could also make a bow at the top if you wanted to. For that, I would give yourself about 24 inches of ribbon. Remember, I showed you in Design Space, if you don't want to make it an ornament, you can hide those little ornament holes and they won't cut. And there we have it. Our little hot cocoa cup gift card holders are complete. I hope you enjoyed this project, and if you want to see all of the fun and festive faux leather crafts I created for my holiday crafting event, I'll leave a link to a playlist for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.